Welcome back to Hometown Movies. Our guest tonight is Jan Worth. My name is Michael Kelly. And we're going to ask our guest to read some poetry now. Jan published a book called Home During a Dry Spell. It's a collection of poems. I guess I wouldn't want to call them nostalgic, but retrospective might be a reasonable term. At any rate, it's about home. It's about dealing with home issues. And this is, if you will, the title track of the book. And I'm going to ask Jan to read that to us.
Okay. This poem was written in the unforgettable summer of 1988, the hottest summer we all remember. Home During a Dry Spell. It is like moving inside a haystack, sweet and suffocating. I am struggling for air and the sight of stars. This hottest summer keeps from us what we need. I want something cold and distant, the sight of Jupiter, its moons. Instead, we troop through tall, dead grass to the cemetery, a mound of flesh-colored dirt, fresh, no stone, sits like a blister by the infant graves of 1803. I see for the first time the graves of people I know, Isa, all the Kecks, their grand and fertile father Nelson, who sired 17, Cuby Buchtel and Walter Bryson, who left widows I've known all my life, their lives and deaths made into stories we tell new lovers and our sons and daughters. My father will be buried here, but I don't know where. It seems the only room is near the noisy road where kids just out of Jackson High make crazy passes. This is a busy neighborhood for death. My father waits for his, dumbly, the brain broken, the Führer gone. I want him to finally lie where I can stand it, where we can have a little peace for conversation. I played on these gravestones after prayer meetings in '54. I remember the bird shit dried on the smooth gray tops, how grown-ups scurried us back to church every time. In the hymn book, they listed all the Easters until the year 2000. I would be 51. I cried during altar calls and came to love the smell of tears on waxy pews. This yard, this church, where there used to be nothing but graves and tumbling wild roses, this is where I began to notice life. Back home, we sit till dark on lawn chairs with a 12-pack of Rolling Rock, watching the bats and lightning bugs, figuring how great this place would be for a pool, how we could redo the house, give it a real kitchen, double the size, keep the hollyhocks, canned tomatoes just like always. We don't say how my father sits for hours under the apple tree, lost in what we think are dreams. His eyes water over at some event no one else can see. He stares at his 40-foot pines, not remembering he's the one who planted them when they toppled out of a Christmas box like kittens in 1953. He has lost amazement. He hewed this place from a cornfield and doesn't know it. He is sinking back into his land like a fallen log. The hot sky, dense as old wool, permits no chance stars. The beer is gone. What is there to think of next? We fold up our lawn chairs and come inside to catch the late show.
Please, I can drink of water.
Ah, yeah. Yes. Oh, dear.
You know, I don't know if it's good to analyze poetry, but one of the things I like about that poem, I'll put it in those terms, is the parallel of the graveyard as the place of birth, the natural process of, you know, the return to the soil, the refertilization of the soil. And that is the sort of thing that you can't say outside of a poem. There's no other way to fit it in.
Right. It would be too wordy and preachy, I think.